I mean, that's Paul smack talking. Anyways, being escorted by gold medalist Natalie Schneider.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. I realize that there's many of you here tonight that I've known for a long time, and then I recognize too that there's some of you here tonight, and thanks for coming, where this is my first chance to meet you, some of the young ball players in the night, here tonight. You've done good, you hung in there. Hope the appetizers were all right. You might be dreaming of pizza right now, I don't know. But thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, because what you heard about some of the inductees tonight is important to think about. When Dave called me and let me know that I was getting inducted, he said, we're going to be honored to have you there. It's going to be great, and we're going to try to keep it timely for everyone, so, you know, be sure to be timely in your acceptance speech, and I just want to say the clock has not started yet. So just hang on, man. To Opie, I've had a number of USA teammates, and I've tried to count them. I tried to count them and lead up to this, and I've had just a little under 70 USA national team members that I've had the chance to get to know and to play with side by side. And you know, when you're young, you do a lot of things to try to build confidence. And somebody like Opie, as many of you know, just fills you with confidence every time you're around him. And I'll just keep it at that. He's my brother, and I love you. And I remember that we needed a code word, because I remember coming to him and saying, well, I had a similar conversation with Patty some years ago, where I was pretty competitive, and I was known for throwing my weight around, and I was a little bit big for a guard. And Patty said, you know what, I don't know if you've noticed this, Paulie, but I tend to get the raw end of the stick every time there's contact between the two of us. And the same was true with Opie, and I told him, we need a code word, because if you ever got hurt, if I ever hit you real hard and you got hurt, I'd have a really hard time dealing with that. So code word, we could laugh about it and just go, okay, if one of us hurts, we know that we love each other. So I love you. Thank you for the induction. To Miss Green, you know, I was really, really fortunate after I retired from the national team to have the opportunity to announce for NBC. And just before the Tokyo Games, I had a really privilege to interview all of the women's players and all the men's players before they left for Tokyo. And when I asked Trayvon Jennifer, who were the largest influences in his childhood and in his game, your husband's name was the first one he said. And all of us are the beneficiaries. I had a college coach named Jim Hayes, who taught me, amongst other things, to reverence those that lead cities and states and our nation, who advocate change for people that need accessibility, who advocate change for equal rights. And he drilled that into me with a tenacity. So we honor your husband. Thank you. To Jeff Glassbrenner, Glass and I were teammates for a number of years. He's my brother. I experienced USA basketball with him. And I was there that night when he scored 16 points. I had a pretty close seat to some of that. And then I was his teammate after that. And I remember at halftime, I went into our huddle, and Doug Jones, our coach, said, Paulie, he's got 30. What do you think? And I was like, he can have as many points as he wants to. We're winning. Let him score as much as he wants as long as we win. We were still up at that point, and he just kept going and going and going, and they ended up winning. So it was a tremendous performance and a great honor. So it's pretty incredible what Glass and able to accomplish, and love you, brother. Great job. And for Sarah, I want to say, you know, the University of Illinois has produced a number Nugent, and I won't start this time, but I was influenced heavily by individuals from the University of Illinois. My first summer camp, Brad Hedrick and Gene Driscoll just opened up my mind and said, dream big, kid, what do you want to do? And so I did, and they made me write it down and hand it back to them. And I was like, I want to be a national champion, and someday I want to play for the USA. And so you're one of those great minds. You are. You belong in that group. We can start the timer now. Okay. I grew up in a really small town. And it was a town where we joked that there was more cows than people, because it was pretty much true. The name of the town is Manchester, Michigan, my beloved Manchester, Michigan. There was one basketball court in the center of town where I spent my summers dreaming about what might still be possible for me in my life. It was there that I met my sweetheart, Megan Schulte, who's here tonight. We met when we were 18 and 17, and I picture her all these years celebrating in the middle of the night when I did something cool on the other side of the earth, when nobody else maybe necessarily knew about it. And I love you. My beautiful son, Brady, who is incredible in every way. And don't get me going on him and his top 10 ranking for BMX in his age group nationally. Because if I start talking about Brady, we'll definitely be here more than 10 minutes. And you know what? I was fortunate to graduate from the University of Texas at Arlington with a degree in mechanical engineering, which is really pretty incredible. Ask me about it sometime, because I wasn't very good at math through middle school and high school. But after looking through the people that I need to thank, I know enough math to say that the math doesn't add up. This is not going to work. There's more people to thank. Please know about me that I am a happy, devoted follower of Jesus Christ. My faith and my family are everything to me, always have been. And so my gratitude is there first. Then with my parents, Tom and Carol, and my siblings, who supported me in getting back into adaptive sports. I didn't want to try adaptive sports, but a man named Kevin Wolf in Ann Arbor, Michigan, invited me to come to basketball practice. And up until that point, I had rejected every offer, and he said, well, it's an adult practice. Could be some rough language, and you probably wouldn't have a chance. And when he said you probably wouldn't have a chance, there's a spark in me that when the odds are impossible, I kind of like that. And so I was like, okay, I'll show up to an adult practice for wheelchair basketball. And I came in the gym, and there were eventually 4 Hall of Famers. Mo Phillips was my hero, and taught me how to dribble, taught me how to throw precision passes behind the back, cross court, with only half your fingers. I mean, Mo was incredible. There's a reason they called him the Magic Man. Chris Lunso, Drew Waller, Wyman Davis, Jerry Saracen, Glenn Ashlock, and Kevin Wolf. And weekly practices became a place where I was able to gain confidence, throw myself at the game, and they blocked my shot, took the ball, and I loved every second of it. I played hard against them for 4 years along that same court that I mentioned earlier with my buddies. There was a bunch of them, but partly where I got my speed was chasing after my able-bodied friends throughout the summertime. So Jimmy and Ryan and Nick and Andy, we played through the rain. And they were always there, excited to see me achieve anything. I mentioned Brad Hedrick and Gene Driscoll being big for me at the University of Illinois. It was in my high school years that IndyCare and Top End gave me an opportunity and sponsored me for my first basketball chair and bought me a Coca-Cola. I thought I did the big time. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome, and they've been a huge supporter of me ever since. It wasn't long after that I was introduced to Mary Freebed and the Grand Rapids Junior Pacers, and I played my junior ball there underneath who was like a second father to me, Lee Montgomery. You never had to worry about feeling cool when you're on Lee's team. You also never had to worry about talking any smack because he had that handle. He had that handle, and I didn't. I wasn't.
Grandma.
Grandma. I don't think I was ever very good at talking smack. I played for Coach Jim Hayes at the University of Texas at Arlington. You know, Coach Hayes, he got a degree in history from UTA because it was the only building at the time, I believe in the 70s, that was accessible. That was why he got a degree in history, because it was the only one accessible, and through a number of people, it became fully accessible by the time that I got there. So I love you, Coach. Thank you for everything you've done for me and my family. I was picked last on the 1997 U.S. men's team. They would play a qualifier in Winnipeg, Canada, and all of a sudden I was amongst my idols, and I would have handed out water. I would have handed out water with a smile on my face to be next to the likes of the players that were on that team. And Dan and Frank Burns were the coaches, and they took a chance on me. I think partly because I was fast, and partly because I was unpredictable. And for some reason, they needed they needed that in the press, and I had that in spades. I remember Dan Burns saying, "Schulte, if you take one more scoop at 80 miles an hour from outside the key, I'm gonna kick your butt to your shoulders." and if Dan, if you're watching, I love you, and thank you for taking a chance on me. I want to thank U.S. Paralympics. U.S. Paralympics always made wherever I was in the world feel like home. They protected me, and they gave every opportunity for me to grow and thrive. After UTA, I played for the Dallas Wheelchair Mavericks with Doug Jones and Abu Yilla and Ron LeVar, who helped form that program, and many others. I forgot my disclaimer that I will forget a number of names tonight. I had the chance to play with and against greats, and also get to know my beloved roommate on the Mavericks, which is Jason Van Beek. And if you know Jason, I've said before, during his induction, I think I got to throw it out there that I always knew I had the biggest guy in the court and the funniest guy at the court at the same time. And Jason remains one of the winningest wheelchair basketball players to ever play. And the list goes on of teams and things I've been able to experience. And if I can, I guess I'll take this moment to tell you a story. Because some of you young ones have been here a while, right? So you're like, this is cool. Thank you for all the names. Will you tell me a story? Yeah. I'll tell you a story. So it was 1998, and we were playing in the World Championships in Sydney, Australia. And Dan Burns was meticulous in his preparation. So we watched a full game of our competitor, whichever our next competitor was. And so we had a team meeting at the World Championships, and we watched film on our next team that we were playing. And you know how USA, anything ends, it's 1, 2, 3, USA. And so we said USA, and all the players were clearing out, and I hung around to the very end, and I asked Coach Burns, I was like, can I talk to you a minute? And he was like, yeah, Paulie, yeah. We went up the hallway, and I still remember it. And I said, Coach, I gotta ask you a question. And he was like, yeah. I said, do you intend to start me tonight? And he was like, you know, Paul, you're the least experienced on our team. You're not the best shooter, you're not the best passer. And you have the least experience. None of the teams here know who you are. And so far, that's working for you. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I do plan to start you tonight. And I was like, you know what, I thought you might say that. So, I just want to let you know, I don't need to remind you that we're playing Australia, in Australia tonight, in the semifinal game. And we're expecting a couple thousand Australians to show up to this game. And if you want to start me, I want to start. But I just want to let you know that if I start screwing up in the first 2 minutes of the game, yank me out of there and hand me the water bottles, and I'll be happy. It'll be okay. And he was like, and for the interest of time, if you want to hear what he told me in detail, I'll tell you. But for the interest of time, I'll just say, I didn't pick you to the team because of your absence of mistakes. I picked you to the team because of your response to your own mistakes. I know you get frustrated. I know you'll try again. Let me break something to you. You're going to make a mistake in the first 30 seconds of this game. But you let me worry about who's going to be on the court. And you play free. I don't expect no mistakes. I expect your heart. I expect your effort. You got a team around you. We'll go do this together. We believe in you. And that was it. Well, there weren't a couple thousand Australians there. There were several thousand Australians there that night. And it was the first time in my career that I can remember the floor shaking beneath me from the crowd. And I was this far away from a teammate. And I think I can't remember if I was trying to remind him of something or I had a question, but I yelled at the top of my lungs, and he was facing to the side, and he couldn't hear me. And I was like, oh no, this is a problem. But the first shot hit that night was a three-pointer by an 18-year-old. He played free because his coach believed in him. We went on to win that semifinal, and then we went on to play the great Koen Janssen and Gert van der Linden in the Netherlands. And I take great pride that I was able to play good defense against Koen Janssen, who's just about unguardable. He was amazing. And you want to know the only thing that sounds better than several thousand quiet Australians? It's the sound of your country's anthem playing in a gym many, many thousand miles away from home. And when you hear the song, you think of all the places you've heard that song before. You think of a very small town where there's more cows than people. You think of a very small court where you spend your summers dreaming about what might still be possible. And you think of all the people that you love and helped you get to where you are. So thank you very much for this honor of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I love all of you. Thank you for being here.
On behalf of the NWPA Hall of Fame, we permanently induct for eternity Paul Schulte, who's coaching us up about photo ops. Kinda need that. Anyways, Paul Schulte, congratulations.